आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदं लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्. All known literature of mankind can broadly be classified into two categories. One, what we call as the scientific literature, the other, the creative literature, creative works. In Indian context, these two categories are called Shastras and Kavyas respectively. That is, Shastras are what we can today consider as scientific works, and Kavyas are those which we today call as creative works. Now, if you look at the scientific literature even today, you can find some common characteristics. Now, these characteristics are applicable to so-called Shastras. These principles are basically three. Firstly, all Shastras try to consolidate, classify, and label the known knowledge. Now, even if you take today's scientific literature, the main purpose in scientific literature is classifying, categorizing, and labeling the known body of knowledge. The second thing which the Shastras do is to take out the best cases among the available knowledge and then do a comparative analysis of the available options. Now, again, comparing this with the modern science, this happens even in science. All known scientific disciplines do have a way of comparing the known principles and then telling which work best at a given situation. The third principle of Shastras is to lay out a common procedure which is simple enough to be followed by everyone, and if followed by everyone, can yield the best possible result. Now, if you take the world of science today, the same thing is followed. All scientific disciplines will explain a procedure, what we call as experiments, which, if followed by anyone, will yield the same result. Take, for example, the experiment of Newton rings. Now, anybody, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, nationality, if he follows the procedure laid out in any textbook, he will get the same result. This is the foundational principle of science. Science is very objective. It is agnostic to the principles of division which we follow in the human society. Science is objective, and that is the reason it becomes universal. But the problem in scientific literature even today is that the language followed by science should be very precise and concise. Therefore, it becomes dense, and common people find it very difficult to read and understand scientific literature. They always need some kind of help in understanding the language used by scientists. The modern science depends heavily on mathematics for explaining its concepts. Similarly, Indian Shastras are written in a language which is not easily accessible by common man. And that is the very nature of the study which is undertaken by Shastras. Therefore, all Indian Shastras have multiple commentaries, and most of the times these commentaries are not always in unison in agreeing with the common principles. They are contradictory in nature. Therefore, common man is always in confusion as to what is the true meaning of these Shastras. Now, Indian Shastras cover a wide spectrum of human behavior. All possible human activities are covered in Shastras. So you have the physical aspect of human behavior covered in Shastras. You can take Loha Shastra, and you can also consider Vastu Shastra in this category. There are also Shastras which cover the moral and spiritual aspect of human life, called Dharma Shastra and Moksha Shastras. They're all scientific in nature, as we have seen earlier. That is, they try to codify the existing knowledge, they try to pull out the best practices, and they also lay out easily followable procedures. But the language is inaccessible. Also, many people find that these principles are highly idealistic and therefore impossible to follow. Now we can take the example to understand this better. Take for example the cookery shows done by master chefs. Now when you see them, you will feel that they are easy, but when you try to replicate them, you will find that that is most of the times not easy to do it the way it is shown. The end result most of the time will be disastrous, and you live it saying that these are the things done best by experts and not by common man. So those shastras lay out the procedures for good life. Most of the times people feel it is idealistic and not suitable for following every day. Now, this is the problem even with modern science today. Now, it is not that most of the people do follow the common things which are available in scientific literature. They feel it's too idealistic and science should best be left to the experts. Now, contrast this with the other group of literature which we call as creative literature. In Indian context, they are called as kavyas. Now, the problem with creative literature is that they go overboard in explaining few things. They seem to be impractical, and sometimes they give more importance to the shortcomings of human life. Therefore, concepts such as fatal flaw in character, tragic hero, fallen hero, they become more important in creative literature. Also, most of the times, they create a world which we know is not for real. For example, you can consider the Indian movie scenarios wherein a single person may fight with 100 people, or our fables wherein a prince will cross 7 mountains and many oceans to achieve his goal. Now, all of us know that this is not for real. So, though creative literature is highly entertaining, we know that these cannot be replicated in real life. Now, so you have two things. One, Shastras, which we know is idealistic but impractical. And on the other hand, we have creative works which are entertaining but we know is not for real. Now, given these two extremes, comes a work like Ramayana, which tries to strike the balance between these two extremes. So, Ramayana, is it a Shastra or is it a Kavya? Most of the times, many commentators feel that it has the characteristics of both these categories. But it strikes the right balance between the two. It is a Shastra, but it is not inaccessible to common man. It is Kavya, yes, but it does not have the unrealistic element which you find in the Kavyas. Ramayana as a text tries to combine the best of Shastras and the best principles of Kavya and has given the work which therefore is relevant even today. Ramayana is rightly called the first Kavya, we call it the Mahakavya, and the author of the Ramayana, Valmiki, is called the Adikavi, the first. It is first, yes, and that is not the only reason for it to be relevant today. It is relevant for us today because it explains the complex principles which are there in Shastras in a very entertaining way. That is why it is relevant even today.